As many of you know, Facebook is showing more of your ads to even more people, regardless of what your targeting preferences are. So that makes it even more important that you create ads that speak your audience's language, those dream clients that you want the most. You got to be using the exact words and phrases that they would use most often. So today I'm going to show you a simple trick on how you can figure out like what are those words and phrases that you should be using in your headlines, in your email subject lines, in your ads, so that you can put the ads in front of the specific people. They start taking the actions that they want the most, and the Facebook algorithm can put your ads in front of the right people. Again, if you haven't heard of the detailed targeting change that happened just a few weeks ago, a little over a month ago, I'll link to the video above that really goes into a lot more detail. But effectively, what Facebook is doing is anytime you put in targeting preferences, it's automatically showing it to a broader audience, largely due to the Apple iOS changes. So today I'm going to walk you through how you can actually get around that, something I've been using in the last week to develop marketing that really speaks to a specific audience. So this kind of came through as I was doing some research this past week for a shoulder pain product solution. And really the key secret that you should really think about is, and one of the greatest assets that you can use for getting in the head of your audience is using Amazon book reviews. So you go into Amazon, you type in the words within the search bar of what your audience would type in. And in this case, I just went into Amazon books. I just typed in shoulder pain. Again, it wasn't very specific. As I went through, I got a little bit more specific about things like rotator cuffs and frozen shoulders. And as I got into the verbiage, that's where you can be a little bit more specific. But just starting out very generally, go into that box. What's the broadest thing that your audience would type in as it relates to your offer, as it relates to your solution, and just see what books are out there. Like what are some of those bestsellers? Which are the ones that have really high reviews? And just start taking a look. And one of the best assets that you can have for your marketing is taking a look at those reviews and really going into them and digging into them. So there's kind of two sides to it. So this is just a shoulder pain book that I thought was really helpful in going through the reviews, but also I'll show you as well, like again, as Amazon shows your reviews, one of the, like the most important thing is they require that reviewer to kind of put in some kind of subject line, some kind of like summarizing headline at the top here. Not everybody does it. A lot of times people will just have it, they'll either copy and paste, or Amazon will put the first line of the review. But those people that actually take the time to put a little quote in there, there's specific character limits that they have to meet. So it's a really great way for, again, like your audience to review a book, kind of put in that benefit statement that they have at the top. And again, this is something that you can copy and paste and use for headlines on your landing pages. It's something you can use for your Facebook ad headlines as well. You can use it for your sound bites at the top of that ad as you go through. All that's really important. That's all, those are all the things that you can use to actually copy and paste the exact language that your audience is using and use it within your ad, use it within your emails as you do automation at the back of your ad and those kind of things. So again, take a look at number one, like what are people putting in here? How are they kind of summarizing the transformation that they were able to achieve after reading this book, reading the solution? And then the other part is looking for those testimonials, like looking for the longer ones. Like, again, this was a great book because it just had so many testimonials. It was a really good book that actually, people got results. It was simple. It helped them achieve their shoulder pain. So they actually went in there, and because of that gratitude, they went back in to Amazon and reviewed the book, told their whole story around their transformation. And as I went through these transformations, I really got a good sense of like, okay, who is my audience? What words would they use to describe their shoulder pain? How would they describe their transformation once they got that shoulder pain relieved? What were they able to do? What were they able to get back to? What were some of those things that they were avoiding because of their pain? How did that kind of manifest itself in their life? So again, it's not going to be every Amazon review that you go through, but absolutely take a look at those bestsellers, take a look at those books that have a lot of reviews, go to the 5-star reviews, go to the 1-star reviews, kind of see the different extremes and look for those ones that have, again, not that it says like, okay, this is a great book. It's more about like, like learning more about the specific stories, those transformational stories that happen. Again, you have to look for those books that actually backed it up, actually delivered a lot of great, valuable content. And in return, the reviews will be much better. So, again, this is just an example. In this one, just using this as an example, like, again, this person is coming back again and again. So, she's got a 6-month update, she's got a 2-year update. So, she's like so appreciative of what this book provided that she kept on coming back and updating her updating her testimonial, her review about how her shoulder has improved, what she was able to do. And again, as I went through kind of the reviews, it was, you can see what the length of this review is. So there's just a ton of great detail that I have about the audience, what specific words and phrases that I can use as you go through. And this is one of those that, again, here's another one that's a huge paragraph about, like, okay, first I want to help, I want to thank the author, but, like, here's what I was going through. Here's how it helped me. Here's what I was able to do post that. Just, this specific book alone just gave me a ton of great material in going through. And again, looking at the little specific words up here and doing it that way. So, keep an eye on that and use Amazon book reviews. It doesn't always work for every single audience. Depends on your solution. But this was one that just really came through and made it really easy for me to really understand the audience, understand their language, understand how they describe their pain, and then what that transformation looked like, and really helped me to bring it out as much as possible. So again, as I went through the little subject lines, you can see on this next page here, I literally just copied and pasted onto my research doc. I copied down all the little subject lines for the reviews that really helped me kind of understand the language. Again, not that I use that every single time, but you can see very quickly got me back to the kind of life I thought I'd lost forever. Finally, an exercise that works for my injured left shoulder. I was skeptical, but no denying the results. Avoid surgery at almost all cost. Helpful for lifter's shoulder. The price to avoid needles and surgery seems well worth it. Again, you can really copy and paste them and use them as email subject lines, use them as Facebook ad headlines. But again, the true gold of it is really getting into, like, what are those specific words and phrases. So again, this be an example of, like, okay, if you've never, and I've never really written for anything before from a shoulder perspective, like, would I know the verbiage of, like, lifter shoulder? Would I know what that was till I saw it? I probably wouldn't until I'd kind of experienced it myself. So that kind of gets you into the head of the audience. You're kind of speaking their language, the specific words and phrases that they would use. See if there's another one that really helps. Again, heal yourself, no more tightness in my shoulder. Must have for weightlifters, eliminate my shoulder pain in days. A gift of healing info. If you have frozen shoulder, do not think, just buy it. Again, frozen shoulder is another one that, if you're not familiar with shoulder pain, you might not know what that is. So again, a lot of these, a lot of the verbiage just allowed me to kind of do some Google searches, kind of dig into, like, okay, what does this verbiage mean? How can I do further research? And then again, as I went through further Amazon reviews, again, that's where I can look up specific books around lifter shoulder, or specific books around frozen shoulder. And I can get even more into the weeds in terms of, like, okay, what are the different segments of the audiences, and how can I look at the specific reviews and get more specific ads out of that. Again, as you can go through your audience and be more specific, as you can segment them down and talk about, like, their specific condition, and again, talk about the specific pain in this case, or the specific situations where that pain comes through the most, makes a huge difference. So again, use those Amazon reviews. Again, it's not something that works for every single audience, but it kind of comes through in two ways, as I just showed you. Number one, in terms of those little lines at the top, kind of that subject line that they have to put in from a review perspective, like, how would they summarize their transformation in a few short words and a few short characters. That's really important, really helpful, especially as you're thinking about kind of the start of your ad, the headline, email subject lines, but also as you kind of dig into those reviews, you can really get into the head of your audience and really think about, like, okay, how would they describe their problem? How would they describe that transformation? What was kind of that progression? What were the steps that they went through to achieve that transformation? And then at the end, like, okay, how would they describe all the benefits that were on the other side? So really helpful from a research perspective to use Amazon reviews. Again, there's a ton of different ones that you can use. And again, I'll link a video up top that kind of goes through, I think I had 7 different strategies that you can use for getting into the head of your audience. Amazon reviews just being one of those. So Again, it doesn't work for every single audience, but in this case, in the past week, that was really valuable to find those books, find those transformations, really allow me to get into the head of the audience, and then allow me to create Facebook ads and other advertisements that really spoke to that audience so that they respond in kind, they know they're in the right place, and they ultimately know that this solution is the right one for them. So if that was helpful, I go into a lot more detail in my opt-in. That's completely free. It's a video training, fullconfidenceads.com, that will show you from soup to nuts how to create Facebook ads for your business, how to actually go through what buttons to push, and how to optimize them over time. So if you thought this was helpful, would love to continue the conversation, and I'll see you on a future live.